Take three. Audio check. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Test 1, 2, 3. Audio 1, 2, 3. There we go. I think we're in action this time. How's that sound, Ella? Sounds pretty good on my end. All right, give us just a moment. We're still configuring some of the other platforms, making sure the audio is good to go. We will be live in just a moment, cover some of this awesome price action in the market. Just bear with us. All right, here we go. Let's kick this off, guys. Welcome to another Crypto Answers live stream event. I'm Creighton Piper. As always, I'm going to be keeping track of the chat here on my phone and answering any questions that come across the stream as they come. So looks like John has already joined us. I'm pretty jealous of him. He's rode this Neo up a couple of times. It's up 21% today, and the whole market is up pretty nicely today. Everything is green, especially the top 20. You got to look at least the top 25 to find something that's red. But pretty much everything's up right now. Bitcoin's up 8%. We just topped $4,200. There's been a lot of positive catalysts that hit the headlines today. So the market overall is looking pretty good. Ethereum is also up. It was about 312 earlier. We're down to about just shy of 310 right now, up over 7% on the day. Ethereum is keeping pace with Bitcoin so far today. It did start out very slow. Bitcoin was up 6 or 7% early today. Ethereum was up like 1% or something, but now keeping pace, so I'm happy about that. Litecoin 5650 up 8%. Slightly outpaced, pretty much trading in line with Bitcoin and Ethereum there. Like I said, Neo has been absolutely unstoppable the last 2 days. It's at over $32 right now. It was up 35% yesterday. It was up, was up 22% today. So solid double digits back-to-back days right there. Um, Apparently, the China scare is completely fading from everyone's memory, and people are buying Neo again. Um, Obviously, it's come to light that China's not going to be as big of a deal as some people were thinking. All the people that were trading on Chinese exchanges have migrated to Japan. Now they're using Japanese exchanges, but they're still participating. They're still buying up some of this cryptocurrency, and they're still supplying their portion of the worldwide demand. So I think that's why crypto is back in action, back in an upward swing. Let's continue on down the page here. Zcash even outpacing Neo, up over 25% to almost $300. It's nearing its recent high again. So I don't know how much further near-term Zcash has to run, but today, an absolutely phenomenal return there. Now, Bitcoin Cash is lagging behind Bitcoin and the broader market overall. It's up 3%, while Bitcoin counterpart is up 8%, and Bitcoin Cash still has not managed to retake that $500 threshold, and I'm losing faith that it ever will. I'm losing faith in Bitcoin Cash overall. There is going to be a new Bitcoin currency that comes from this impending hard fork. It's going to be called Bitcoin Gold, but I'll get to that in just a moment. Let's continue down the list here. Moving on to Ripple at 21 cents, perfectly even. 21 cents, up over 11% today. So seeing some pretty good price action from Ripple as we approach that swell convention here in October. It's just maybe 2 weeks away. I'm very eager to see what comes of that. Let me say go, just shy of 1050, up almost 7.5% today. Let me say go is looking pretty strong there. Ethereum Classic, don't care. Monero, hate Monero, but it's up 9%. IOTA, I've covered this several times in these Crypto Answer live streams. It's my top pick for altcoins, and it's sitting right at 55 cents, up 7% today. Now, IOTA has been lagging behind the broader market for whatever reason. I don't understand. Maybe it's just seen a correction that the other market has already seen in the past. I'm not sure. But I still am a strong believer in IOTA. I don't own any, but I love the Tangle Proof system, and I really expect big things out of IOTA. I'd kind of like to hear maybe some whispers of some positive developments for IOTA before I think about buying in. Dash, another big mover generally that's lagging behind the market today. It's only up 3%, sitting steady at $350. Let's move over to CoinMarketCap.com, where let me refresh, just make sure we're getting live information here. Oh, by the way, in reference to Neo, it's up, over 20% today. I've noticed that if you keep track of gas, it seems to almost foreshadow the price movement of Neo. Back when Neo was at an all-time low, we had gas was up like 50%, something stupid like that. No, I mean it was more. It was like 80%. And then all of a sudden, Neo spiked like 12 or 24 hours later, something to that effect. And now we saw the same thing happen here. This was like 2 days ago. Gas spiked up like, I don't know what that is as far as a percentage is concerned, but it's only up 3% today, while Neo's up 21%. So it's really weird. Gas will spike and then Neo will follow. It almost foreshadows it. So I mean that's at least the second time it's happened recently. I have not been able to make any money off that. I've never owned any Neo or gas, but I'm going to continue to pay close attention and maybe see if there is an actual connection there that might be worth investigating. But let's see what else we have in store here. 10x. All right, 10x might be tied for my #1 pick along with IOTA, but 10x is looking very strong today, up 16.5%. When Bitcoin was coming off of its low, 10x was actually very slow to come off of its low, but I think I bought it back at like 170. I mean, as it fell, I continued to buy it, but most of it I bought at 170. Now it's up at $3, 305, and I'm very happy. We've seen double-digit movement for 10x at least back-to-back days, maybe 3 days in a row. And I mean, that is just unstoppable upward movement there. So feeling very good at 10x at this point. So overall market cap sitting at 145 billion. We need to hit 180 to top the all-time high for the overall crypto market cap. There are some pretty good reasons for this price action, some very good reasons, as a matter of fact. So let's go ahead and move into the news. First and foremost, there is going to be another Bitcoin hard fork. The miners were not able to reach a consensus. I think the requirement was 80%. That consensus was not reached. There's going to be a hard fork resulting in another Bitcoin currency, and it's going to be called Bitcoin Gold. All right. Now this is pretty. They have some pretty ambitious ideas for Bitcoin Gold, and it could end up being freaking awesome, to be honest. But I don't know. Bitcoin Cash has kind of tapered off there. Bitcoin Gold might do the same, but who knows? Now, when this hard fork does take place, when Bitcoin Gold is created, it's going to happen in the exact same fashion as Bitcoin Cash was created back August 1st when that hard fork took place. So anyone that holds Bitcoin is going to receive the new currency that results from the split. They're going to receive Bitcoin Gold completely for free. It'll just appear in their account, and so I think that is a huge part of the positive price action that we're seeing in Bitcoin today. People are going to want to hold Bitcoin Gold, hold Bitcoin through the hard fork there, and just see what happens to that Bitcoin Gold currency when they get it during the split. Now with Bitcoin Cash, you had to hold your Bitcoin in certain accounts or certain exchanges, or I don't think you could hold it on an exchange actually if you wanted to benefit from the split and actually get the new currency. So I haven't done the research yet to find out exactly how to take part and to get your Bitcoin Gold when it does fork. But more information to follow on that. I'm going to do the research. I'll put the link in the description of this video when I find it. I just haven't got there yet. But the date we're really watching here is November the 1st. Okay. November the 1st, Bitcoin Gold will go live, and it will be tradable on all the exchanges as of then, or at least some of them. As of October 25th, it will go live on the futures market. But that's similar to the rollout of Bitcoin Cash. You know, there was once Bitcoin Cash actually went live on the broader market, there was a huge spike. It ran up to like $900 or something before settling down at like, what, 600 maybe? So I'm sure we'll see some pretty similar behavior in Bitcoin Gold when this does roll out, but we'll have to see. So futures market opens on October 25th, and then November 1st is when it will be traded live on the open market. So what is the goal behind Bitcoin Gold? Why are they hard forking? What's the reason why those developers don't want to just stay with Bitcoin? Why do they want to go in this new direction? Well, what they envision is a fully decentralized Bitcoin, the way Satoshi Nakamoto envisioned it in the first place. And basically, the consensus among these developers that are going to fork the blockchain and create Bitcoin Gold is that Bitcoin has strayed from that criteria, and it's not as decentralized as it was initially. Now, the justification for this is the mining pools, right? There are some absolutely massive mining pools out there, and some even individuals or like small groups that have built like these massive mining networks, right? They have just warehouses full of these ASICs, the mining equipment, and they have so much say because they make up a very large percentage of the proof system, and they verify so many of the transactions that in a way they kind of can control and manipulate Bitcoin because they have such a large impact. Like their opinion carries weight when it comes to these hard forks and implementing these upgrades because they have so much say in their vote. It carries so much weight. So anyways, what they want to do is make it possible to mine Bitcoin using any standard GPU. So you're going to be able to use whatever computer you're watching this video from. You're going to be able to use that computer to mine Bitcoin. You don't need a special freaking $10,000 machine to mine it. You can use the computer that you already have. And this is going to be absolutely amazing for fully decentralizing Bitcoin, so that it's basically going to take some of the sway away from the big mining pools and from these people that have, hundreds or thousands of these ASICs, and it's going to release all this voting rights out into the general public. So people like you and I, people with just a standard computer, we can mine Bitcoin and we will have equal voting rights essentially. So that's going to be pretty huge if their vision is actually fulfilled, if they're able to make that happen, then this is going to be massive, and Bitcoin Gold could potentially rival Bitcoin. And I like the name, by the way, because people are already associate Bitcoin with gold. It's called the digital gold, and Bitcoin Gold is just. I mean, if you're going to have to rename Bitcoin, that's a pretty solid rename in my opinion. I do like that. But in order to make this all happen, they're going to, I mean, they need some very, very intelligent developers to back this, and they need to gain some market share. And if that doesn't happen quickly, then it's going to follow the same path as Bitcoin Cash, and it's going to start tapering off. And I think it's going to be lost in the ether of all of the other cryptocurrencies. And when I say ether, I don't mean Ethereum. I mean the what am I trying to say? Ether. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't need to reiterate. Anyway, so I'm going to continue to follow this because this is very, very interesting, and who knows, if they can make that happen, then like I said, it's going to be huge. But what I don't understand is why. I mean, Bitcoin uses proof of work, and they're trying to improve on proof of work, right? But we already have better systems in place. We already have proof of stake. Proof of stake is much more environmentally friendly. It makes people, hold currency, take it off the market. So they have to stake their coins and they earn interest in that manner. But they're still accomplishing the same objective. They're still proofing all these transactions. It's just the energy consumption is so much lower, and I don't understand why. And instead of adopting some of these better proof systems like proof of stake, or even better yet, Tangle, they're just trying to improve on proof of work. And I mean, this idea is pretty revolutionary. I mean, this will be so much better, being able to use pretty much any computer to mine Bitcoin. This will be much better, and I think it will lead to more widespread adoption of Bitcoin. But why they don't just kind of shortcut straight to like a Tangle system, I don't know. But then again, I'm sure there's some technical reason why it's impossible, and I just don't understand that yet. So I probably need to do a little bit more research on that. Anyways, let's move on to catalyst number 2, and this is a statement from Mario Draghi, which is he's a European Central Bank figurehead, right? So I'm going to read you a quote or a statement he made today, and that is here. I'll just read you this whole paragraph. Making his statements to the European Parliament's Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs, Draghi said that it would actually not be in our power to prohibit and regulate Bitcoin and other digital currencies. Interesting, because that is completely the opposite of what Jamie Dimon just said, right? Everyone's already heard of this by now. He's saying that Bitcoin is a scam. It's completely a fraud. The price is going to go to zero, and governments can step in at any time, whenever the hell they want, and shut it down, right? They can ban the use or tax it to hell, whatever. They can step in and do that whenever they want. So now here's Mario Draghi saying the exact opposite and saying we don't have the power to do that. Now he didn't quote Jamie Dimon or didn't reference him, but I'm sure what he's saying has to do with what Jamie Dimon said. So that's pretty interesting that these two figureheads are kind of clashing on their opinion of Bitcoin and how much central powers can manipulate it. But I don't know who to believe at this point. Mario Draghi and Jamie Dimon, both very important figureheads, both very well known, both very intelligent people. But I guess you just have to make up your own opinion on this, who you're going to believe. As of now, these positive headlines are gaining quite a bit of traction, and they're completely overshadowing all of the negative news that has come out today. Now, I'll show you two headlines that they kind of cast a shadow on Bitcoin for today. The first one relating to SegWit 2x. This article is from CryptoCoinNews.com, and the subheadline here is SegWit 2x Uncertainty in Current Bitcoin Developments. And now I'm just going to read this to you word for word. It says, it has become evident that SegWit 2x is not needed at this stage of Bitcoin development and scaling. At the time of reporting, the average Bitcoin block size remains below 0.85 megabytes, and the size of the Bitcoin mempool, the holding area for unconfirmed transactions, is just over 11 million bytes. Prior to the activation of SegWit, the size of the Bitcoin mempool surpassed 140 million bytes. SegWit has already scaled the Bitcoin network to a large extent, despite the fact that less than 5% of all Bitcoin transactions are SegWit enabled. If over 50% of transactions become SegWit enabled in the upcoming months, the Bitcoin network will be able to scale at an exponential rate, drastically decreasing transaction fees. So, if that happens, if we reach that 50% threshold and we start scaling like we want it to, that's the whole point for SegWit and SegWit 2x. But in order for that to happen, it has to be adopted on a mass scale, and it just isn't happening yet. We have to. They're saying we have to hit about a 50% threshold, and right now we're at less than 5%. I think I just heard Chris Comey say, I don't know if this is his stream today or yesterday, but he said we're sitting at about 4.5%. Now, more and more people are adopting segregated witness and using that with their Bitcoin transactions. If you look at the chart that he posted, I don't have one. I didn't fetch one, but the adoption, it is going steadily up, but at a very, very, very slow rate, not what we expected. So SegWit 2x and SegWit not really seeming to be the catalyst that we expected here, but if that does take off and people decide that SegWit is everything they hoped and dreamed, and they start adopting it on a mass scale, then hopefully we can start reducing the transaction fees, and that'll make Bitcoin that much more attractive. But as of now, I would say this is a negative headline and sort of negative news. But like I said, it's being overshadowed by the positive news, so that's why we're seeing such positive price action today. Let's move on to headline number 2, negative headline number 2. This is in reference to Singapore.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. I want their price match. I know I'm getting the best price every time.
This is not the central bank.
Come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
And unsuspend the accounts, like
cryptocurrencies
trying to say, hey, you have the higher authority here. Can you please just
Names like
overrule
Bitcoin and
these lower
Ethereum have
banks?
seen their
And
values
here's what they said.
skyrocket this year.
The Monetary Authority of
Bitcoin,
Singapore,
which is as
the
close
country's
to a
central bank,
household
said
name as you can get in
it
cryptocurrencies,
does not
has
interfere with
shot up
commercial
over
decisions taken by banks,
350% so far this
including
year.
those in relation
In
to the
fact, it
establishment
jumped
and
from just
termination
over
of business
$1,000 at the
relationships.
start of the year to
Banks are
over
expected to establish
4,500
suitable procedures
recently.
and
And
controls,
Ethereum, the number 2
including
in the
those
digital
governing
money
customer
market, well, it's
transactions
on the
and
move as
relationships.
well.
We see
To
companies
comply
across
with
all
customer due diligence
industries looking
requirements
at
of
how to
MAS
use
rules on
this
preventing money
technology.
laundering
But it's not
and the
been
financing
smooth
of terrorism
sailing
in
for
the
the
state of
virtual
China.
currencies.
So
Just look at the
the reason
30-day
why these accounts were
snapshot in
shut down is
Bitcoin's
because
price,
they
and
were
you can
suspected to
see
be
a
tied to money
rollercoaster
laundering.
ride. And back in
So,
August of last
I
year,
guess you can't blame
Bitcoin
them there.
plummeted 13%
But
after hackers
the
stole
central bank or the
$65
Monetary Authority of
million. This year,
Singapore
Ethereum
has
also
come forward and
fell upon
said,
tough
you know what, we're
times.
not
We have
going
to remember
to.
that this technology is still pretty new, and that causes there to be glitches along the
Oh
way.
wow, I didn't realize that. Okay, sorry about that commercial. I had my volume muted, so I didn't realize that it was playing, but I just got the heads up. Anyways, I don't know what you heard me say or what you did not hear me say, but the Monetary Authority of Singapore has come forward and said that they are not going to overrule the lower authorities, and these account closures will stand as is for now. So, more to follow on Singapore, but up until now, Singapore has been very open and very receptive to Bitcoin. There are a lot of ICOs, a lot of companies, a lot of cryptocurrency companies that have been based out of Singapore because they've been so receptive to our community. And this is like out of nowhere, just a slap in the face, like what's going on? But I think this is kind of along the same lines as what we're seeing in China. They are trying to kind of nip the negative stuff in the bud so that Bitcoin can operate cleanly and efficiently without all of the black market operations. So if that's the case, if that's what they're doing here, then I guess I support what they're doing. I think that's what China's doing. They're just kind of trying to get a grip on some of these ICOs that are launching that really have nothing of value to offer to the investors. And then once they kind of put a stop to all the scammers and all the travesty, they're going to reopen exchanges and stuff like that. And I think Singapore and China are kind of on the same page here. But we'll just have to see. Let's take another quick look at the market before I go and look at some of the technicals. Bitcoin is climbing yet again, ever so slowly. It's now up almost 8.5% today. Still over $4,200. Ethereum about to hit 311, up over 7.5%, and Litecoin is up almost 9.5%. Looking very strong indeed. Check 10x one more time. If I don't check 10x every 15 minutes, I start having withdrawals. I start getting like these migraine head. I'm just kidding. But all right, so let's look at the technicals as they relate to Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin versus the United States dollar. So what we're looking at here, the 21-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, those are the ones that have been in play over the past week or so. So we finally surpassed both of them. This top one here, that is the 21-day moving average. It did correct downwards to follow this 40% market correction that we saw over the past month or so. And a couple days ago, the price of Bitcoin met the 21-day moving average, but now we have finally exceeded it, and we also surpassed the 50-day moving average. So if we can close above this level, and so far it's looking pretty good. The 50-day moving average is just shy of $4,100, and we are holding steadily above 4,200. So if we can close above this, that will be very, very bullish for Bitcoin, and I think we will see this uptrend continue. So that's good. That's very good. In the near term, so if you've been following this channel at all, oh, Train John, welcome to the stream, by the way. Good to see you with us. You're here for pretty much everyone. You almost never miss a beat, so that's awesome. But what was I saying? Yeah, I think we're going to hit $5,000 Bitcoin here in the near future. Back when we hit our recent low here, that's when we started predicting $5,000 Bitcoin by the end of the month, and now we only have 4 days left. We are nearing the end of the month, but we are also nearing $5,000. So it could happen. Like back here, I was starting to lose faith a little bit. I was like, man, I'm going to be wrong. Going to look like a complete jackass. But now we finally are seeing some positive news and all these positive catalysts come in. We've exceeded the 21-day and the 50-day moving average, and we continue to climb. So I'm still pretty optimistic. I hope we see $5,000, and if that happens, I'm probably going to liquidate my entire position. I'm ready to. At that point, I will have ridden it up from 3,200 to 5,000, and Ethereum, same story. I mean, I don't have the numbers simplified that much, but I mean that's a pretty massive profit, and I will be ready to realize those gains, take some risk and some stress off the table, and then wait for another pullback. And I think we could see that pullback at 5,000 again. I think there's a very real chance. So I'll be looking to buy in again at maybe 4,500 or so, and I'll be looking to buy Ethereum at whatever corresponding price to Bitcoin. But just looking at what has happened in the past. So this was the prior all-time high back in June. I always reference this in my live streams because you can know what to expect from the future to an extent by looking at the past. These markets tend to kind of repeat themselves and work in cycles. So I think we're in the middle of another one of these cycles right now. And so here's what happened in the past. We reached the all-time high, almost 3,000 back in June. We sold off into July, and then we jumped right back up almost to that high at about 28.50, right? And then there was another sell-off. Now it was mild. The sell-off was mild in comparison to this 38% pullback, but there was another pullback. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. I want to sell maybe at like 49.50 or something. I don't think we might not even hit exactly 5,000, but I think we'll get close. I want to liquidate my position and wait for that second pullback because I think we will see one. Now, just keep in mind that I'm not an investment expert by any means. I can very well be wrong here. I'm just going on the research and the technical analysis that I have here in front of me and going from there. But I definitely recommend doing your own individual research and make sure you are willing to accept the risk. Cryptocurrency is very, very volatile. So there is an absolutely massive risk associated with investing in Bitcoin or any of these other currencies. But the volatility brings with it a massive profit potential, and that's why I love investing in Bitcoin, because the potential is there. You just have to know how to read the markets and be willing to take some risks. The overall trend is up, so I feel like it's almost foolproof to invest in this stuff, but you have to be able to stomach the pullbacks. I mean, if you were one of the people that bought, at the high 4800s, I mean, once we broke 4,000 and we start seeing this massive red candle here, I'm sure people started freaking out and they started dumping. They heard Jamie Dimon come forward and start saying that Bitcoin is a fraud, it's going to zero. You have to be able to stomach the pullbacks in order to hang in there for the long run. So if you're not willing to do that, you probably need to just sit on the sidelines and maybe partake vicariously. But if you're ready to make some money, then just be advised, it is very, very risky, and you're going to have to accept quite a bit of risk here. So that is all the technical analysis I have for now. Let's go to our website, cryptoanswers.net. This is obviously the website that I'm associated with. We don't have any new content right now. I think September 22nd was our last upload, but we are working on some more interviews, and we will come live with those as soon as we have them. And then what else? Oh yeah, I'm working on a video on taxes. As more and more people invest in cryptocurrency and we begin to realize some of our profits, taxes are becoming very, very important. So I want to do my own research and learn how. I mean, we're coming up on tax season now, so this is the first year that I'm really going to have some serious profits to realize, and I want to be. I don't want to draw the IRS's negative attention, and I want to make sure that I'm paying taxes legally and appropriately. And so I'm going to be doing a ton of research on this. We are going to be interviewing a CPA that specializes in cryptocurrency, and then we will bring the video live with the transcription, and I would highly recommend checking that out so that you as well can be tax compliant with your crypto investments. So yeah, that's cryptoanswers.net. And again, if some of you new guys are tuning in for the first time, here's our quick start guides. Make sure you check this out. There is a plethora of information to be found here. We have some information on taxes already, but it's not in depth to the extent that this next video that we release is going to be. But some of the basics can be found right here with our quick start guides. All right, let's go back to the live prices. We continue to climb. Bitcoin now up almost 9%, sitting at 4230. Absolutely awesome. Ethereum is up almost 8%. Litecoin still climbing. Neo is flat. Zcash is flat, at least since our last glance there. What else is going on? Let's take a look at 10x. Just doing this really quick recap here, and then I'll see what we have for questions and answers. 10x at 307, up 18% today. It continues to climb. That is exciting. That is awesome. All right, John Acker has a question. What do you think of Up token? I don't have an opinion. I know nothing about it. I haven't researched it, so I'm sorry, but I got nothing. So, any more questions? Sorry. All right. Pretty much covered everything that I had planned today. There's some positive news out there. There's some negative news. Right now, the positive news is trumping all the bad stuff. So hopefully that'll continue long enough, at least run up to 5,000, and then Jamie Dimon can run his mouth again and crash the price, and we can all buy in again. Again, this stuff, it runs in cycles. It's just repeating itself. Pretty exciting stuff. All right, we're up to 10 viewers now, so that's there must be quite a few newcomers. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start from the beginning and start going over the news again. So today, this is some pretty fresh news. There is going to be another Bitcoin hard fork, and it's going to result in a new currency. It's going to be called Bitcoin Gold, And this is going to be, I mean, Bitcoin Gold, the developers behind it and the miners that want to split from Bitcoin, they have some pretty ambitious stuff planned, and it could end up being pretty awesome. If they achieve their vision, that it's going to be awesome. And this is going to happen on October 25th. That's when the futures market will go live, and you'll be able to get a taste of Bitcoin Gold. Now, it's not actually going to be live on the broader market until November the 1st. So who knows exactly what could happen between the 25th and the 1st of November. But if you remember what happened with Bitcoin Cash, with this hard fork, it's going to be pretty much exactly the same thing, it sounds like. Anyone that owns Bitcoin on the day of the hard fork, they'll find an equal amount of Bitcoin Gold in their account, and they'll be able to buy and sell it just like they can with Bitcoin. So I think November the 1st is really the date that we want to keep in mind with respect to all of this stuff. Because if you remember with Bitcoin Cash, the futures market kind of went live a little bit ahead of time, same story, but we didn't see much price action, and the price remained kind of low. Then the price went live on the broader market. People were able to actually use their Bitcoin Cash post fork and sell it off, and for some reason the price ran up to about $900. It tripled in just a few days. So I'm sure we'll see some similar price action with Bitcoin Gold. The question is it going to sell off after the run-up like Bitcoin Cash did? And who knows? Like I said, they have some very ambitious things planned, and let's go over that right now. So the whole reason behind this hard fork, let me get a drink of water. The whole reason for this hard fork is because some of the miners think that we are beginning to drift away from the heart and soul of Bitcoin and the whole decentralization movement as it was created to be by Satoshi Nakamoto. So what they want to do is take some of the voting power away from these massive mining pools and from the people that are just hoarding ASICs and mining the stuff all day, every day, making millions, because they have a lot of say in the direction of Bitcoin. Like when it comes to these upgrades, they can almost turn the tide in respect to determining whether or not there will be a hard fork. So what they want to do is ensure that we don't split Bitcoin too many ways in the future by all these miners having different opinions and not being able to come to a consensus. The method that they want to use is they want to make it easier to mine Bitcoin. They want to make it to where you can mine Bitcoin with your home computer without beefing it up. You don't have to have some crazy mining equipment to make this happen. You just use the computer that you already have, the computer that you're watching this live stream with, your gaming computer, whatever. That's all you need to mine to mine Bitcoin and to prove the system. And what that'll do is decentralize all the authority and all the voting rights to the individual users, the people that actually use Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis. So I mean, right now there is definitely an imbalance of power between Bitcoin users and Bitcoin miners, and they want to solve that and kind of give everyone equivalent say and equivalent voting power. So that's pretty awesome. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know if that'll come to pass, but I mean, as with any of this stuff, you're taking a gamble. If you're going to bet on it, you're taking a gamble. So it could go either way. But they do need to secure some pretty top-notch developers if they want it to happen, and some market share. And who knows whether or not that'll happen. Let's move on to Mario Draghi's statement. Draghi is a European central bank figurehead, and everyone knows Mario Draghi. So anytime he comes forward with a statement, usually it moves markets, and that is the case today, as a matter of fact. So here we have a statement from Mario Draghi, and I'll read it to you. Making his statement to the European Parliament Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs, Draghi said that it would actually not be in our power to prohibit or regulate Bitcoin and other digital currencies. So if you'll remember Jamie Dimon's statement, this is directly in contrast to what Jamie Dimon said. Dimon said that he thinks Bitcoin is a scam, it's going to go to zero, banks are going to step in and shut it down. As soon as it becomes a threat, they're going to regulate it into the ground, and it won't even have a fighting chance. Now, Draghi is saying the exact opposite. He's saying we don't even have the power to regulate this. So I'm not really sure why he would come forward and say this. I mean, if the central banks don't have the authority to regulate Bitcoin, then I would think they want to keep it a secret. So I don't know why he's making this statement, or if it's even believable. But this is definitely a positive catalyst, and this is part of the reason why we're seeing some positive price action today. Because he's pretty much slapping Jamie Dimon in the face and saying, no, you're wrong, you're retarded. So there you go. Those are our two major catalysts for today, and the reason why we're continuing to see this awesome price action. But that is countered by some negative news, which I've already talked about. But for the new guys, I will go ahead and talk about it again. First, SegWit 2x uncertainty, right? I'm going to just read this. No, actually, I'm not going to read it verbatim. I've already done that. I'll just kind of summarize it here. Anyways, the overarching message here is that SegWit adoption has not been what we had hoped for. Less than 5% of all Bitcoin transactions are taking place under the SegWit umbrella. And so, I mean, it is being adopted. There are more and more SegWit transactions every single day. If you look at a chart, it is going up, but it is going up very, very slowly. We need to hit about a 50% threshold to really have the impact that that we were seeking from SegWit in the first place. If that happens, then we will start to see some pretty good scaling, and like we intended with SegWit in the first place, and then the transaction fees will decrease with that. So hopefully that does happen, but the actual acceptance is pretty low right now. So hopefully that'll improve moving forward. Thanks, Elise, for coming in and spamming our chat. That's awesome. Anyways, moving on to Singapore. Singapore today started to, well, okay, it's not the country. This is not the government stepping in, I don't think. These are some of the, all right, let's see here. These are some of the smaller banks within the country shutting down individual accounts. And the reason for this is they believe some of these accounts to be tied to black market transactions and money laundering. So they started to shut down some accounts, and these people that are having their accounts shut down, they have basically gone to the central bank and asked them to override the other banks and exercise their kind of supreme authority, and because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. So anyways, there's kind of a disconnect between the central authority and some of these other banks, and but this is really out of place though, because Singapore has been so receptive and so open to cryptocurrency in the past. A lot of these ICOs have been headquartered in Singapore, and it's just weird that that all of a sudden now they're starting to close some of these accounts, and I think they even made it illegal for Singaporean citizens to take part in these ICOs. I mean, as most of you probably already know, American citizens cannot take place in ICOs. They have to wait until these currencies are traded on the open market, on broader exchanges, and buy in then. But sometimes it's too late. So I feel like we really miss out with respect to some of the ICOs. But then again, I mean, some of this regulation, I mean, the whole reason why China shut down their exchanges and put us up to ICOs is that most of them are kind of frauds in the first place. So it is possible that they don't have any negative sentiment toward Bitcoin at all. They just want to get a hold on some of these bogus ICOs and then release it back to the general public. So again, we're just going to have to continue to follow that and see what happens. All right, so we're seeing a mild pullback for Bitcoin. It's almost back down to 4,200. Interesting, to be expected, I suppose. I think as we approach the evening here, we're going to see probably a mild sell-off. But what we're going to hope for is that we don't sell off beyond the 50-day moving average. We did exceed it finally. We exceeded the 21 and the 50-day moving average today, and this is a very, very bullish movement for Bitcoin and for the crypto market. Now, if we can close above the 50-day moving average here, that's this blue line you're seeing in the middle, that is going to be even more bearish, and I think we're going to close in on 5,000 very rapidly if that does happen. So, crossing our fingers here and hoping for the best. Anyways, not a whole lot going on beyond what I've already talked about. I not seeing a whole lot of questions come in, so that is disappointing. Yeah, viewer interaction makes these live streams so much more exciting. But since we're not seeing a whole lot right now, probably going to go ahead and close down this live stream. I've already covered everything 2 or 3 times, and I don't want to bore those of you that have been tuned in from the beginning. So again, don't forget to check out cryptointerest.net. Here's our quick start guides. For anyone that might be seeking some of that beginner information, we're going to be coming to you with some information on taxes here very soon. But for now, you're stuck with this live stream. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you're tuning in on YouTube, or follow if you're tuning in on Twitter. We are live on, I think, 6 different platforms right now, so I'm not exactly sure who I'm talking to right now, but thank you guys for tuning in. It has been fun, as always, and it's always good to see this. Just scroll up and down, crypto compare, and everything is green. A lot of things are up double digits. This is very exciting. We're all making money. Good stuff. Anyways, as always, I'm wishing you all good health and good fortune. Take care, guys.